Another day, another conspiracy theory enters the realm of the real. Did you think that weather manipulation was some sort of made up thing for the tin hats for the aluminium foil folk? Well, they're actually doing it. China for sure, but maybe more. Let's have a look. The domain of the Lord, Zeus on a cloud, Thunderbolt City, has become the realm of man. Now, I've got mates that talk about weather control all the time, and I'm always like, oh, I feel like this is out of books and stuff, and this is for nutters, isn't it, weather control? It sounds a bit like, and now my creation is ready. It's all a bit strange, love. But let's have a look at it. China has succeeded in literally changing the weather, a new study claims. As the South China Morning Post reports, researchers say that during the Chinese Communist Party's centennial celebration, bit of a mouthful, welcome one and all to the free-spirited and fun Chinese Communist Party's centennial celebration. Sit still! Over the summer, weather authorities successfully modified the weather above Beijing to clear the sky. They did so using cloud seeding technology, a long-studied but controversial process that involves shooting silver iodide particles into the clouds with the idea of attracting water droplets to modify the weather.
Looking at the skies, it has revealed plans to drastically expand on experimental weather modification program covering an area of more than 1.5 times the total size of India. China has long sought to control the weather by seeding clouds. The process works by injecting small amounts of chemicals like silver iodide into clouds, causing them to precipitate. The technology has been used to create artificial rain and snow, but the massive push, ostensibly for domestic use, is sending alarm bells ringing in India, especially in the context of the recent conflicts across the line of actual control. There are fears that weather modification could potentially give China an edge, hampering troop movements in the mountainous regions.
I don't like the idea of shooting silver iodide particles into the clouds to modify the weather, because it feels like, don't we sort of deep down know that we've been taking a piss a bit with nature? Don't we deep down sort of know that we're meant to live in harmony with it?
China's weather modification system, which they have been working on for a really long period of time. So this is not new. That the State Council has now released a statement which says that by 2025, they're going to cover an area for cloud seeding and also hail suppression, relatively lesser amount of area to cover hail suppression system, but at least for the cloud seeding, creating rainfall, that kind of a system they are trying to put in place by 2025, and by 2035 they are expected to advance it to such a level that they would be leading the world in terms of cloud seeding geoengineering schemes.
There are consequences. Like, doesn't that kind of chime with you on a deep, deep level? Let alone the fact that weather control sounds like loopy sci-fi stuff. Now, of course, our media reports about Chinese authorities doing it, but what do you think? Like, that's one of the things, you know, Donald Trump, when he used to go, well, you think we're not doing it? Like, didn't he? He used to say, we think we don't have people killed.
We got a lot of killers. Why, you think our country's so innocent?
That's one of the things that people used to think, this dude's operating on a different level. The paper by researchers at China's Tsinghua University comes a year after reports that China was dramatically expanding its weather modification program to a test area of 5.5 million square miles. That seems... I can't even conceive of that, 5.5 million square miles. By the year 2025, that's bigger than the entire country of India. Bloody hell! And also, thanks for the reference, so that I don't have to sit for hours imagining miles in my limited mind. Though this isn't the first time China has used cloud seeding technology, it's been dabbling, don't dabble, in weather modification like it's a hobby. Do you play the guitar? Well, I dabble in it. Do you speak French? I dabble in it. Do you modify the weather against the observable will of God and nature? Yes, alright. They've been doing it since leading up to the Olympics. And the gold medal for manipulating the environment goes to China. This appears to be one of the most successful and also largest scale tests conducted not just by the CCP, but in the world. So there's an acknowledgement that we're doing it everywhere. Tell you something like, the other day, I live near the River Thames. I swim in it sometimes. The other day, someone just casually told me they dump sewage in there. And I was like, bloody hell, that ain't right. Is this the best we can do? Dumping shit and manipulating the weather? Yeah, this is the best we can do as long as we want to preserve these systems, which we do want to do, so It was also not publicised, and part of the Tsingshua's researchers' paper focused on the evidence they found that cloud seeding had actually taken place, which included eyewitness reports of rockets being launched into the sky from the mountains outside of Beijing before July the 1st centennial, and accounts of rocket debris after the fact. Though areas of the United States and other countries have tried to use cloud seeding technology to change the weather, professional China warriors have expressed concern that the CCP may use it for nefarious military ends, even though the US military has been trying to make it rain since at least 1967. Yeah, I believe during the Vietnam War there was some weather technology used to create flash floods, although you should probably check that out for yourselves. The successful and large-scale operation in Beijing does, however, raise important questions about the potential military usage of the tech. If one country is able to control its own weather, it could in theory do so elsewhere, which is unwelcome news for anyone who isn't invested in forever wars. Fortunately, the richest people are invested in forever wars, so no need to worry for you guys.
So by weather modification, they're trying to, for instance, transfer water from the Yangtze River to the Yellow River.
We are just getting pummeled, absolutely pummeled.
Now they must also be looking at solar radiation management, carbon dioxide removal, those kind of projects which are much more alarming than the cloud seeding kind of geoengineering projects. But the scale of the project itself, as discussed by China, is something that is alarming because of the kind of impacts it could have on the ecosystems, it could have on the neighboring countries, especially with the monsoon patterns being affected, and of course the rivers.
Moreover, while cloud seeding is often touted as a potential solution for the mega droughts of the not so distant future, the technology hasn't been successful for long enough to measure how it affects natural weather patterns. I'll just bring this to your attention. With something as apparently innocuous as the assassination of JFK, by innocuous I mean so much time has passed since then, it's been punted another half century into the future, presumably because the information in that report would unsettle us. Even royal wills are kept from public eyes because presumably there's information in there that would in one way or another unsettle us. So, do you not think it's at least possible that when it comes to things like weather manipulation, we don't know the whole story? Now, this is a little piece in Forbes that ties your favourite and mine, Bill Gates, this story. Some people have already said that this has been subject to fact checks and that it ain't entirely straightforward, but I'm going to read it out to you anyway, and you can decide. Microsoft's billionaire founder Bill Gates is financially backing the development of a sun-dimming technology like Mr. Burns. It doesn't say that, but that was in The Simpsons.
Since the beginning of time, man has yearned to destroy the sun. I will do the next best thing. Block it out.
That would potentially reflect sunlight out of the Earth's atmosphere, triggering a global cooling effect. The stratospheric controlled perturbation experiment, launched by Harvard University scientists, aims to examine this solution by spraying non-toxic calcium carbonate dust into the atmosphere, a sun-reflecting aerosol that may offset the effects of global warming. Now, you fact-check this for yourself. As far as we know, Forbes reported this, okay? Whether it's the weather manipulation or this particular spraying those carbonated things into the air, David, how long do you want to go on without changing course as a culture? Oh no, this is warming up, shit. We'll fire these aerosols into the air. Then that wasn't that part of the problem. I remember the 80s and 90s, we weren't meant to do that no more. There's so much stuff, as Snowden says, that's empirically, demonstrably going on in plain sight. The stuff that we know is enough for us to collectively demand change. Widespread research into the efficacy of solar geoengineering has been stalled for years due to controversy. Opponents believe that such science comes with unpredictable risks, you might imagine it would, including extreme shifts in weather patterns not dissimilar to warming trends we are already witnessing. Environmentalists similarly fear that a dramatic shift in mitigation strategy will be treated as a green light to continue emitting greenhouse gases with little to no changes in current consumption and production patterns. Meddling with nature and controlling nature, particularly when it's in the hands of the very people who continue to profit from the kind of problems that may well have been generated by them in the first place. So much of what we know is as a result of your research and your input.
Yeah, the dome thingy that's there. Do you know what that's for?
Sorry, sir, I can't give that classified information.
It's classified. Oh, okay. Jeez.
Communications dome, that's what it's for, and that's all I can tell you basically. And you're not allowed to take any pictures.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I won't.
You can go on the net and look at, you can get pictures of it on the net.
Yes.
On CFBgander.com.
CFBgander.com.
CFBgander.com. 9wingcfbgander.com, and you can get pictures. You get pictures of the whole base.
Yes.
And you can get pictures, but you're not allowed to just come up and take pictures.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
My bad. Okay. Cool. I'll ask you one more question before I go.
What's that?
Does this have anything to do with weather modification?
No, no, it has nothing to do with the weather.
He said no comment.
Yeah, no. It's a communication center.
Yeah.
And weather reports and stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
That's the best I can tell you.
All right. Cool.
Okay,
Cool.
sir?
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
This is in Gander, where we heard that the weather modification site is. And we have a sign here that says RF radiation, high voltage. In case of emergency, contact NAV Canada. I bet you that's the Navy. There's the number, 1-888-672-2052. And look what we got. Wow. Weather Mod Newfoundland.